My name is Obinanwoke, and I am from Ogbaru in Anambra State, Nigeria. For 12 years, I was what we called a prosperity interceptor inside a coven that claimed influence over trade, contracts, and market movement across the Southeast. My assignment was not to fight believers with sickness or nightmares. My assignment was money. I was trained to watch how Christians prayed about business, salary, promotion, debt, rent, school fees, and breakthrough, then to place invisible resistance in their path so that their effort produced exhaustion instead of results. I knew how to make a hardworking person look unlucky. I knew how to turn a promising deal into a sudden disappointment. I knew how to stir unexpected expenses that swallowed savings overnight. I knew how to frustrate interviews, delay payments, scatter customers, and bring confusion to pricing so that profit vanished. Some people labored like ants and still stayed empty because a barrier stood at the gate of their harvest. That was my work. But there were certain midnight declarations that disturbed everything we planted. There were 4 specific prayers that, when spoken with understanding and authority, broke the patterns we relied on. Tonight I'm going to share them with you in a way you can apply, because I know what the enemy fears, and I know what makes a believer financially untouchable. First, you must understand how financial attacks operate in the spiritual realm, because many people think money is only paper and numbers, but money carries direction. Favor carries direction. Open doors carry direction. Provision travels like a delivery meant for a particular address. Our assignment was to intercept, to confuse the address, to reroute the package, to lock the gate, or to delay it until the person became tired and stopped believing. We stationed watchers at what we called gates of increase. Those gates could be your job, your business, your contract pipeline, your customers, your skills, your helpers, your interviews, your applications, your savings, even your ideas. That is why someone can be talented and still be ignored. That is why someone can pray and fast yet keep seeing the same cycle. If you have ever watched opportunities come close and then collapse at the final moment for reasons nobody can explain, if you have ever received money that should last but it disappears like water, if you have ever been the most qualified and still the least selected, then listen carefully, because there is a way to pray that breaks interception and releases what has been held. The first midnight prayer is a covenant activation prayer. Many believers have covenant rights, but they don't enforce them. They love God, they go to church, they try to be good, but they never stand in their position as covenant children and speak like heirs. In the darkness, we understood that covenant is legal in the spirit realm. We could resist blessings when people were passive, but when someone activated covenant consciousness, it was like a stamp from heaven appeared on their file. I remember a man I will call Brother Ifeanyi, a 42-year-old trader who struggled for years. He tried shop after shop, line after line, and each time something mysterious scattered it. One time his goods spoiled. Another time thieves struck. Another time a partner vanished. Another time a supplier betrayed him. His wife started losing respect. His children were sent home for fees, and he began to believe that he was cursed beyond repair. What he didn't know was that an ancestral agreement had created a claim in his bloodline, and every time he rose, the claim pulled him down. Then a pastor taught him to stop begging and start activating covenant. For nights he woke up and declared that he belonged to God, that he was redeemed by the blood of Jesus, that the covenant of Christ overruled every ancestral claim, and that God gives power to get wealth to establish his covenant. He spoke it at midnight like a man enforcing a contract. Something shifted. Within weeks, help came from an unexpected contact he had assisted years earlier. A partnership formed that he didn't fund with debt. Doors opened without bribery. His business stabilized, then grew, and what used to scatter began to settle. That is what covenant activation does. It places you under the banner of divine provision and breaks the idea that you must suffer endlessly to prove humility. If you understand this, declare it with your mouth today. My covenant with God is active and my provision is not negotiable. The second midnight prayer is blessing recovery. This one is dangerous to interceptors because it targets what was already assigned to you. Many people don't realize that delay is not always denial. In the spirit realm, what is intercepted is often stored, held, or rerouted. Some blessings were supposed to arrive through a job you didn't get, a contract that fell through, a pension that was reduced, a customer that vanished, an inheritance that was stolen, a payment that never came, an opportunity that was canceled. Blessing recovery is when you command release. I remember a widow I will call Mama Nkichi, a retired civil worker who served faithfully for decades. When she retired, her records were mysteriously altered, and her pension became an insult. She fought in offices until she grew tired. She spent money on transport and letters and lawyers, and every door closed. She began selling possessions and losing hope. What she didn't know was that someone who hated her faith had sealed her documents through wicked influence, and systems that should help her became walls. Then she learned blessing recovery. She started rising at midnight and praying that everything stolen from her labor be restored, that truth come to light, that every hidden manipulation be exposed, that what was delayed be released with speed. She prayed like a woman refusing to die in silence. Then suddenly the people involved began to panic. Confessions surfaced, a forgotten file was uncovered, and within months her full pension was restored with arrears. When blessing recovery is prayed with faith, it is like a legal summons in the spirit realm, and stolen goods begin to return. If you have years that feel wasted, declare it now. I recover what belongs to me, and nothing assigned to my destiny will remain in storage. The third midnight prayer is financial gate opening. Every life has gates through which increase flows, but gates can be blocked by patterns, by jealousy, by fear, by repeated near-miss experiences that train you to expect failure. The enemy loves to place guards at gates, so that even when favor approaches, it turns away. I remember a young graduate I will call Chukwudi, brilliant, first class, disciplined, yet unemployed for 6 years. Interview after interview, final stage after final stage, and something always happened. Budget changed, position canceled, another candidate appeared, documents missing, hiring manager replaced. 6 years of almost but never. His father died disappointed, and that pain became heavy on him. What he didn't know was that a jealous relative had targeted his career gate. His mother, a prayerful woman, refused to accept the shame. They began midnight prayers commanding gates to open, dismissing every spiritual guard, breaking every word spoken against his future, calling back opportunities, demanding favor and remembrance. One night he dreamed of a chained iron gate and watched the chains fall. 2 weeks after completing the nights of prayer, offers started coming like a flood. A company that ignored him years earlier called him. A firm that once rejected him remembered him. Even a government agency that lost his papers suddenly found them. He chose the best offer, began work, and within a year he rose faster than expected. That is gate opening. It doesn't only bring one breakthrough, it creates a pathway for consistent flow. If you feel overlooked, say it now. My gates are open, and my helpers will not miss me. The fourth midnight prayer is generational pattern breaking. Darkness loves predictable cycles. If men in your family work hard and lose everything at a certain age, if businesses rise then collapse, if wealth comes then disappears, if poverty repeats like a family surname, there is often a pattern that must be confronted. I remember a family I will call the Nwosu family, where men rose and then crashed in their 50s. It happened again and again until the eldest son, a professor named Kenechukwu, noticed the cycle starting around him. Investments began failing, lawsuits appeared, savings vanished, betrayal came from nowhere. It was too consistent to ignore. A prophetess revealed that an ancient covenant had created a claim that collected wealth every third generation. Kenechukwu fought with midnight prayer, declaring that he was under the blood of Jesus, rejecting every ancestral agreement, terminating the cycle, and establishing a new pattern of increase for his children. The pressure intensified at first, because patterns fight before they break, but he persisted until the weight lifted. Then doors opened, losses reversed, and stability returned. His children began to rise without the old limitation. That is pattern breaking. It changes the story of a bloodline. Now bring these 4 prayers together and you become what we feared, a financial fortress. A person whose blessings can't be rerouted, whose gates can't be chained, whose recovery is aggressive, whose family cycle is rewritten. If you want this, don't just listen and scroll, engage your faith. Declare in your heart and with your mouth that the cycle ends with you, that your gates are open, that your covenant is active, and that you recover every stolen blessing. My name is Obinna Nwoke, and I am not proud of what I did in darkness. but I am grateful for the mercy that pulled me out. I share this so you stop blaming yourself for every delay and start fighting with wisdom. Tonight, set your heart to pray. Speak with authority. Be consistent. And watch how God turns the hour that once brought fear into the hour that brings provision, restoration, and unstoppable increase.